Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited to be back. I'm not going to be back at a set time. I'm just gonna kind of upload when I want to upload and when I have time because I have an almost 7-month-old baby. Are you freaking kidding me? It went by so fast. Like, she's literally going to be 7 months on the 15th. Like, that's so insane. Like, before I know it, I'm going to have a freaking 15-year-old. Like, I'm going to be driving her to school until she gets her license, and like, it's just insane how fast time goes when you become a parent. Like, I feel like my days just like I wake up and I feel like I'm already going to bed. Like, they go by so fast. But I have a lot to catch you guys up on. I got a new car on Friday, which I'm going to be filming a car tour. It's a Jeep Renegade 2020, which I'm so excited about. I had a 2015 Nissan Versa Note for over 3 years, and it was just time to let little Roxanne go and get a more reliable, newer family car, I guess. My husband and I bought a house in October. We bought a little fixer-upper. As you can tell, this is going to be Olivia's future room, but right now it's kind of our catch-all room. But this house was built in the year 1900, and it's like the people before us had renovated it, and we're kind of like doing our own renovations to it. But for now, before we paint this and make this her nursery, it's gonna be kind of like my get ready filming catch-all room for things, I guess. But yeah, so I got a new car. We bought a house in October. My best friend's living with us currently. She's not gonna be here forever, but she's just hanging out. She's in the room next door. Well, she's actually at work right now, but you know what I mean. But I'm so excited to be back, and I am going to be sharing with you guys my birth story. To me, it was crazy. To me, it was traumatic. And yeah, I'm just gonna put a disclaimer that yes, to a lot of people, this may not seem as traumatic or scary or upsetting at some parts as I think it was. But every birth story is different, and obviously I know that it could have been a lot worse, and it could have gone a lot worse, and people have experienced a lot worse. So I am grateful that I didn't have like the worst, most traumatic, scariest birth story, but to me it was. And I'm just gonna jump straight into it because it's kind of a longish story, so I'm gonna kind of sum it up a little bit and like shorten it just a little bit, but give the good juicy details. So at like 36 weeks, I went into my 36-week appointment, and my doctor checked me, and he was like, oh, you're like 3 centimeters. And I was like, cool. He's like, are you feeling any contractions, any Braxton Hicks, anything? I'm like, no, like, I'm surprised I'm even dilated. He's like, honestly, I'm surprised you are too, because this is your first baby, and usually people don't dilate until they're at least 38 or 39 weeks, or even up until they're 40 weeks and in labor. Some people have to be induced and are still at 0 centimeters for their first baby. So that for being at 36 weeks, I'm kind of surprised. Her due date was originally May 23rd, but she was born on May 15th. And yeah, so I had my 36-week appointment. I was 36 centimeters. Whoa, no. I was 3 centimeters dilated. And at like 37 weeks, almost 37 weeks, I woke up with some like contractions, and they were lasting a minute, and they were like 3 to 5 minutes apart. So I called the hospital, and they're like, well, just like come in, we'll check you. Keep in mind, my hospital is like 45 minutes with no traffic away. So we went there, and it was like 1 a.m, and I got sent home because I wasn't in labor. When we got there and I was kind of laying down and relaxing in the triage room, my contractions pretty much went away. So I was really bummed out. And then I literally went back the next night because they had gotten worse, and they were going on for many more hours than the night before. And the doctor checked me. She's like, you're 3 to 4 centimeters, but you're not in active labor. But I would not be surprised if you like went home and then had to come back in a couple hours, or if you came back the next day. Like, you're going to be going into labor soon. For you being at 37 weeks and this being your first baby, and you're already this dilated, you're probably gonna have your baby like within the next couple days. And like 4 nurses told me that at that hospital. And my doctor did say at 36 weeks that he wouldn't be surprised if I went into labor at 37 or like the beginning of 38 weeks. So my mom was supposed to come May 21st, 2 days before her due date. She was gonna stay for a week, just to like watch her animals while we were at the hospital and like be there to help us for our first few days home, and obviously to meet Olivia because she lives in Washington. We live in Pennsylvania, and I like really wanted my mom to be there. So I was like telling my mom like all this stuff, and she's like, okay, I'm gonna move my flight. So she ended up flying in 2 days later. I went in, that was on a Tuesday, and she flew in on a Thursday. And we were trying to do things to kind of like move along my labor. Like we went on walks, we went on hikes, we just kept ourselves busy to kind of like help progress my labor and hopefully like put me into active labor. And my mom ended up going home on the 14th, like the morning before my 38-week appointment. And I was so sad. I think I was 38 weeks and 4 days. And so we dropped her off at the airport, and then we went to my 38-week appointment, and he was like, okay, you're 4 centimeters, and you're 75 or 80% effaced, but you have to be 100 and obviously 10 centimeters to push. He's like, I'm gonna go ahead and like sweep your membranes because you are progressing, and because you are 38 weeks and 4 days, it'll be okay. Because I guess medically, at least at my hospital, they don't like to sweep your membrane until you're at least 39 weeks. So he swept my membrane. He's like, I would not be surprised if you go into labor today. So if you don't have your stuff together, whatever you're gonna bring, like you should go home and get that ready and just like be ready to go to the hospital. So he swept my membrane. I started kind of having Braxton Hicks after that, but they went away at night. So on the 15th, my husband and I woke up, we went to Sam's Club and to the local grocery store to make sure that our like house was stocked with groceries, because we knew that we wouldn't be like be able to go to the grocery store for at least a week or 2 weeks. And obviously with COVID, like we were limiting like how often we were going, and like we knew that we wanted to limit it even more when Olivia came. So it was like 3:30, and I was just like laying in bed trying to take a nap. I was watching YouTube, and at like 4:35ish, I felt a pop and a pinch, and then my underwear soaked, and that was my water breaking. And I kid you not, after that, the worst contraction of my entire life. Like it didn't even ease me into active labor contractions. Like it was so painful, so awful. And I called the hospital, like, okay, come in, like we're gonna check you, we're gonna make sure your water is actually broken and that you are actually in active labor. So we go into the we like go to leave. My hospital's like 45 minutes away. We didn't leave until like 5:30ish, 5:40. And car labor, the worst, because you can't like, you're like stuck in one spot. The worst experience of my life. We got to the hospital, it's like 6:30, and I like check in. I'm sitting in the waiting room. I'm literally in the waiting room until like 7:30. Like I was in there for at least an hour, or I was waiting for at least an hour. After like 45 minutes of waiting, I told Joseph, I was like, I feel like I need to push. Like you need to go tell the nurses, like I feel like I need to push. So he goes and he tells the like ladies that you go and like check in, and they like notify the nurses and the doctors that you're there and like why you're there. And he like comes back, I'm like what'd they say? Like, are they getting someone? He said they literally just said okay. I was like, they said okay. And I look over, they're not moving, they're not doing anything, they're not even typing. I assumed like, okay, well if they're typing, maybe they're like communicating through the computers. They weren't even freaking typing. They were just sitting there talking. And I'm like, the waiting room was at like near the entrance of the hospital. So if you needed to like get into the hospital, you literally see the labor and delivery waiting room. I'm trying not to be quiet because there's other women who are there for some reason or another. I don't want to freak people out, I don't want to worry people, and I just don't want to draw attention to myself, but I knew people can tell that I was literally in labor. So like an hour and 15 minutes later, it's like 7:30, 7:45, this nurse comes in. Ooh, this part pisses me off so much. Like, I still get so annoyed about it. She puts me in a wheelchair, and she's literally, like, moving me like a turtle. Like, and I know people are gonna think, oh, you're just in labor, you're like, your emotions and your anger is heightened because you're in pain. No, my husband Joseph even said, like, she was moving so slow, she bumps me into the door to go into the hallway where the triage rooms are, and then she runs me into the freaking side of the door to get into the triage room that I'm in. And I'm sitting here telling her, I'm like, I'm in so much pain, I like feel so much pressure down there, I need to push, like I have the urge to push, like you need to check me. So she's like, okay, like let me help you up, like you need to get naked and put on this, the like what's it called, the like robe thing or whatever. And I was like, okay, like I'm in too much pain, like I need you to get me naked. So she literally got me naked and helped me put on the robe cover thing, and I lay on the bed, and she looks at me and she goes, you know, I was so surprised. I had to double look at your chart for your age because you look like you were like 15. I was so shocked to see such a young girl like here to give birth. And I was like, she's like, and I looked at her and I was like, mm-hmm. And she was like, I can't believe you're 22. You look so young. And I was like, yeah, are you gonna check me? And she's like, oh, we have to wait for the other nurse. So this other nurse comes in and she looks at her, and I don't remember her name because I didn't care. They just pissed me off at this point. And she goes, can you believe she's 22? To the other nurse that just walked in. And the nurse goes, I know. I had to double check her chart too because I thought she was like 17. I was so surprised to see such a young girl. And to me, in my head, I'm thinking, okay, y'all are, if I wasn't pregnant right now and in so much pain, it wouldn't be good for you guys. And the fact that I'm laying in bed, not screaming, but you can tell I'm in a lot of pain, almost crying, and you guys are having a discussion about the fact that I look young and that you thought I was a teen mom. One, who cares if I was a teen mom? Not their life, mine. No, like, they don't have a right to judge my life. They don't know what's going on. They don't know why I would have been teen mom if that was the case. But obviously it wasn't. And they literally had this conversation for 10 minutes. I kid you not. I told them 3 times, like, I feel like I feel like I need to push. There's so much pressure. Like, check me. Like, why are you guys talking about my age? My age doesn't matter. And they both looked at me and they're like, okay. So the lady like comes and she checks me, makes sure my water broke, sees how dilated I am. I was 7 to 8 centimeters dilated and my water was broke. And I was like, I need an epidural. Like, can we get the epidural going? And she's like, okay, well, you have to have a liter of fluid. And I was like, okay, well, how long is that going to take to get in me? She's like, at the fastest speed we can inject it into your veins, it's going to take an hour. It's like an hour, and I'm already 7 to 8 centimeters, and I've only been in labor for 3 hours. 3 hours, actually. 3 hours. Is there any way we can not do that? She's like, no, like, we need to make sure you're hydrated. Like, your body has to be ready for this epidural, and that's really the only way that your body will be ready. Let me know if that's actually a thing, because to me, I didn't know that. And it's like 8:30 at this point, and the first doctor that like mentioned something about my age, put the IV in my arm, and the other doctor's like frantically calling, like making sure her room's ready, like saying like she's going into labor, she's this, like this room needs to be ready. So like 8:30, they take me upstairs. I get into the room at like 8:45, and this nurse, I loved her so much. There was 2 nurses in there, but there's really only one that was like talking to me and hyping me up and stayed with me through the whole thing and like held my hand, and she was just so sweet. But I was telling her, I was like, how, like, as soon as I got in there and I transferred to the bed that I was gonna give birth in, she like came over, she asked my name, she asked how old I was, and she asked like what the baby's name was gonna be, because they like write it on the board. And I was like, how much longer till I can get my epidural? Like, I need you to check me, like, I'm in so much pain. She's like, okay, well, you still have like 45 minutes until you can get it. I'm like, 45 minutes? Like that's not possible. Like, I feel like I need to push now. And so she checks me, she's like, okay, you're 9 centimeters. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, like, I feel like I need to push. She's like, okay, you can't push, like, you'll tear your cervix. Like, do not push. Do whatever you can not to push. What helps is breathing. So I'm sitting there like through every contraction, trying not to push. This is where it gets TMI from here on, but I literally peed myself 4 times. Part of the pee was the amniotic fluid coming out because my water broke, but I peed myself 4 times from trying not to push. And I'm like sitting there, I'm like, I'm peeing, like I'm so sorry, like I'm peeing, like I can't hold it. She's like, no, you're fine, honey, you're fine. Just do what you need to do to not push. Like, it's completely normal. Like, she didn't make me feel bad or gross or like guilty for it, and I loved that. And I was telling her, I was like, I feel like I need to throw up. And so she gave me a bag. I'm throwing up from the pain and throwing up from trying not to push. Like, so much was happening. They changed the pads under me because I literally soaked them. And she called the second nurse. She went to like her computer and she called the second nurse over. And she was like, I can tell she was trying not to let me hear it. Because I'm assuming she probably just either wanted to tell me or I don't know. But she was like, she's not gonna have time for an epidural. Like, she's going into labor like now. There's no time. Like, she's not gonna be able to finish this bag of fluid. So we need to call the doctor and let the doctor know that she needs to be in here in like 10 minutes. And I heard no epidural, and I was like, no epidural? And she's like, no, honey, it's gonna be fine. Like, it's gonna be over so quick. And I was like, how do you know it's gonna be over quick? Like, I'm so scared. I don't know if I can do this. She's like, you're a boss. You're a woman. Your body's meant to do this. You can do this. You made it this far. Like, it's gonna be such a relief once she's out. Like, you're gonna have your baby. Think of the end result. Think of your baby think of Olivia on your chest. And I love that she used Olivia and not just like her or baby or whatever. And I was like, okay. And I looked over at Joseph, and he's texting my mom and like keeping them updated. And he didn't tell me this until after, but my mom was like freaking out for me because she knows my pain level. Even though I played soccer for 17 years and I did rugby, like 3 seasons of rugby. To me, and I can, like, getting shots in my blood drawn and needles don't hurt. Like, I've had 5 piercings on this ear, 3 on this ear. I had my belly button pierced, I had my nose pierced. Those didn't hurt. Like, to me, I have a pretty high pain tolerance. And the fact that I survived childbirth just kind of proves it, just saying. But trust me, and if I had the epidural, I'm sure no matter how you give birth, the fact that a woman just gives birth is amazing and like beautiful and yeah, all those kind of things. But so she tells me that I'm not going to get my epidural, and I look over at Joseph, kind of freaked out. He's holding my hand, and she checked me again. I told her, I was like, I need to push. So I'm like, can you check me? So she checked me. She's like, okay, you're still 9 centimeters, but on your next contraction, I want you to push just a little bit. So I was like, okay, like, what are you gonna do? She's like, I'm gonna force you to 10 centimeters. So she like checked me. She kept her fingers inside me because I was having contractions like literally like every 5 seconds, I felt like. And at my next contraction, I pushed a little bit, and she forced my cervix to be thin to 10 centimeters. And I was already 100% effaced at this point too. So she's like, okay, like, you're ready to have this baby. The doctor comes in, she does a couple pushes with me, and she's like, she's literally like there, like I can see her head, and there's like a little mirror on the top of the ceiling, and I like looked up and I could see like Olivia's hair. And so the nurse that I loved so much held my hand and held my leg up, and then Joseph held my leg up on the other side. She's like, okay, push. So I pushed, I held it for 10 seconds, and I pushed for 16 minutes. I started pushing at like 9:05, and she was born at 9:21, so like 16 minutes. And at one point, I did feel the ring of fire, which literally just feels like your vagina is being stretched and burns. Like, I just sat in a fire pit. So the ring of fire is very, very, very fitting for the pain that goes on. And as soon as she came out, and then the doctor like kind of helped her head come out by spreading the top of my cooch, which is why I tore the very top kind of by my clitoris. I really hope YouTube doesn't flag me for that. It's fine, we'll see. It's about childbirth, so I really hope they wouldn't. Like, it's nothing sexual. But so they like pull her out, and when they pulled her out, like flew up. It got on Joseph's hand. It got all over the nurse on this side. It literally looked like a, it was like, that motion was actually what it looked like. So they put Olivia on my chest. The doctor's like, okay, like, I need to deliver your placenta now. And I was like, cool. They literally took a clear bin that you would buy at like Walmart or Fred Meyer to put my placenta in. The delivery of the placenta is the weirdest feeling. I don't know if you've ever gotten like a spaghetti noodle stuck in your throat, and you like put your fingers and like pull it out, and it like has that weird glue feeling. Well, she literally pulled the umbilical cord like this, and my placenta went and plopped between the legs. And she just put it in the bin and wheeled it away. And she's like, okay, I'm gonna stitch you up now, and I need to numb you because you're obviously not numb. And she originally thought I only tore 3 times. And so as she's stitching me up, she's like, okay, hon, I found 2 other tears, and I'm just gonna go ahead and stitch them up. I'm like, no numbing? She's like, no numbing, it's just gonna be super quick. And I was like, okay. And they take like a little fish hook, and it just felt like a little pinch. Like it didn't really like hurt that much. And because my vagina was already like burning and in a little bit of pain from just pushing out a baby, and I also had my baby on my chest, so I was distracted, I didn't really notice it that much. So she stitched me up, and I was good to go. Olivia was born at 9:21 p.m. She was 7 inches, she was 21 inches long and 7 pounds 3 ounces, and super healthy. And so I waited in the delivery room for like an hour. I peed before I could go up to the labor room, and that didn't hurt. I was super lucky, because most women, it hurts, burns like and mine didn't hurt at all. It just felt like I was peeing normal. Thank goodness. I'm very lucky for that. I know that, and I really hope with my second baby I don't have to feel that. But yeah, so then like after that hour, they took me up into the recovery room. I recovered for about a day and a half to 2 days. I gave birth on Friday and left Sunday morning. And I'm so grateful for that one nurse, because if I didn't have that nurse and I just had like freaking nurses like I did in the triage room that spent 10 minutes debating about the fact that I looked 15 and one of them thought I was 17, like I don't think I would have made it through as smoothly and as comfortably as I did. So shout out to that nurse. But that is my birth story, and I'm gonna go on to do a postpartum recovery, like how it went for me, later on. But I do want to get a couple of videos up before I do that. But yeah, like I said in the beginning, like I'm not gonna have a set schedule when I upload. To me, YouTube's just something that I like find fun. Like for some reason I like the fact of just sitting down and recording myself and uploading it for memories. Like I've already looked back at my other videos so many times, because I talked about like my like how I felt currently with like my pregnancy and like where I was at in life pretty much. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video so much, and I am so happy to finally be uploading after like 8 or 9 months. I will see you guys in my next video. Go follow my TikTok, it's Averie.Wagner, and my Instagram's Averie_Wagner if you want to keep up with me more regularly. I hope you guys have a beautiful day, and I'll talk to you guys in my next video. Bye!